Together on 26. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. We'll begin as we always do by touching some element of nature. I'm going to touch a little plant that we've been growing that was outside, inside our house. It was in Bailey's room. But now it's come outside as we've transferred its pot. So it got too big. And we're going to start having it in that bigger pot. And we'll put it inside. So touch something just to ground yourself before we begin. Okay, ready? Oh, my watch has lost its signal. So we will begin our run. I'll just go without it. Show how far I've come. In 3, 2, and 1. Oh my god, I can see a fox. There's literally a fox looking at me. Like 10 meters away. It's just looking at me. Not that should be very exciting. I think I've mentioned on a previous Together run that foxes in the spring. Oh no. Yeah, is it in the spring? Can't remember. It might even be in the fall. Make the most horrible noise at night. I don't know why I'm whispering. They make the most horrible noise at night. It's like, it sounds like it's screaming. It sounds like a baby screaming. And it is just, like, as a woman with children, but I just think any woman, or, men too, I don't know. It is like such a hard noise to hear and be able to ignore. I don't know, so that fox is probably going to keep me up many nights in the future. But weird seeing one. And my headlamp is not working again, even though I just changed the batteries the run before last, which means it's the final straw. I am going to move away from this. I'm going to get myself a new headlamp because I made it one run in that set of batteries. And that is not okay. I've been thinking about that anyway. And now I understand what's wrong with it. Frustrating. But it is what it is. So hopefully I don't fall over today. Okay. Welcome. If this is your first time to Together on 26. Excited to have you. You have plenty to get back through once you go through this one, and if you decide you enjoy it. There are a few things we always do. There's also room for changes each time. There's things that I may do that I kind of do on the spot. And you're also just going to have a conversation with me. It's very free-flowing, as we know in our runs. Our thoughts come and go pretty quick. And so this is very natural, I suppose, just with the way that we are able to just have a conversation, and you'll get to see, I want to say the real me, as if the rest of the time isn't, but it's just more of a, it is what it is kind of conversation. And with that, I know sometimes I can be a little bit negative with some things. I have been raised with pessimists all around me, and I've mentioned in other podcasts that I struggle to fight against that sometimes, because it's just kind of been just shows up. I find I see the worst sometimes, say things that aren't particularly helpful, and so just wanted to address that I recognise sometimes I may just be venting, but I also think that's part of friendship, right? That we get to just let off steam and sharing things that are frustrating us rather than just keeping them in. Okay, so we're going to begin with a body scan. I will tell you when to start, and you will work your way down through your body as I prompt you, and we will check in and see how we are feeling. It is very humid and warm today, which I was not expecting, so get a bit of a shock to the system, but should still be heat acclimatized from the summer. Just kind of caught me off guard. All right, are we ready to begin our body scan? We will begin from the head, top of the head, the crown of your head, moving into the ears, behind the ears, around the front to the eyes, through your nose and mouth. Make sure your jaw is not clenched. Going down into front of your neck, the back of your neck, into your shoulders and clavicle, going down those arms all the way to your elbow, to your forearm, to your hand and your fingers, coming back to the main torso of the body. You're going to go down through your chest, down into your stomach, into your hips and pelvis, and going into your glutes, and straight into the hamstring and the quad, into your knees and the back of your knee, going down through the calf and the shin, into your ankle, onto the heel and the arch, on the top of the foot and through to the toes. How are you feeling? How's your body feeling? For me, a little bit, I can tell, very tired today. I may end up making this just a 45-minute together run. Definitely just feel heavy, and also with the missing headlamp, it's not ideal for trying to, I've done it before, I know, but makes it difficult more, adds another level of difficulty to these runs, as I'm really having to concentrate on looking at the ground. Okay, so then if I were to say to you, how are you? As in, we were running along, there's no time limit, and I was just going to ask you that question. What would you say? Not to give a short answer, but to make sure that you're really thinking about how you are feeling emotionally, mentally, spiritually. What would you say? Feel like you've given your answer. Give you a few more seconds to add anything else that you would potentially tell me. Hey, thank you for sharing. What would I tell you? I think I would say I feel quite irritated about my headlamp. Because that means it's been through 6 AAA batteries in the last week, and of course I'm annoyed for the batteries, but also annoyed that means it's my headlamp, fault defective. Where's that headlamp going to go now? I will put it in a Buy Nothing group, which you can definitely find one of those in your area. If you have items that, you know, someone may need, someone could use this just for, or wash the strap very well. Someone could use this for, you know, turning on to cut their children's fingernails, and it would last, you know, long enough to do that. So I'm thinking about that, but I'm obviously aware that if they change the batteries and it does the fingernails and then the next time it's dead, chances are this too is going to end up in the landfill. And so I think about that. I'm feeling, I don't know, I do just feel in general today a little bit, I don't know if I'd say fed up, but just irritated. Like, I feel like even before that, I was already on the irritated end of the spectrum. Not sure why, but it just kind of is a feeling. On that note, about feelings, this is the opposite, but yesterday at dinner we always ask, what are you grateful for? And so we give one thing each of us, and Chloe always says, I like that. And we don't know what that exactly means, so we just, sounds like I like that, so we just call it that, but she always says it. And so we try and guess what she's going to say, what she's thinking. Like, is it the, you know, avocado she's eating, or is it Bailey? But she always says, I like that. Anyway, or a version of I like that. Anyway, Bailey said, oh no, Daddy said, Steve said, his favourite part of the day was picking up Bailey. And she said, Daddy, that makes me feel happy. And I was like, yes! Because not only was that really sweet to hear, but also that means she's understanding and recognising feelings, which is something I really want to instill in the girls, to be able to understand and listen to their bodies, to tell them how they're feeling. And so it was really pretty cool moment to hear her say that. Okay, so next we will go through a senses check-in. We'll go through all 5 of our senses, beginning with smell and taste, ending with sight, and we will just check in and see what we can pay attention to that we would never have noticed. I love hearing those of you who do these. Shout out to Elizabeth. Those of you who do these and you tell me about something that you noticed in one of your senses that you never would have otherwise, because you'd be kind of distracted by the run or thinking about something. So I think it's really cool that you do notice things that you otherwise wouldn't. And I do too, because we, you know, obviously our brain is taking those things in every time, but our awareness is on something else. So it's cool that we can, this run can channel you into the moment to take it in. Okay, so let's take a nice deep breath. Let's do another one. Okay, what do you smell? I smell that like sticky, stale humid smell of like the air isn't really moving anywhere. What do you taste? To be totally honest with you, I taste not very nice because I didn't brush my teeth because I was rushing before I left. So I'll do it when I get back. But yeah, still got that like nighttime taste in my mouth. Okay, next up, we're going to do what we hear. Now I'm going to want you to take your headphones out if you are someone who has them, covering the sound. I want you to take them away from your ears so you can hear your sounds, not mine, just yours. If you cannot, take your headphones off or take the covering away from your ear. I'd be a little bit concerned anyway for your safety if you can blocking out all the noise. But if you can't do that, you can just listen to my sounds and see what you can notice there. So let's just do that and give you a little bit of time, starting now. Okay. What noises did you hear? Anything you don't normally hear, or that was particularly jumping out to you that normally is in the background because your attention is elsewhere? For me, it was more that when it is humid like this, I feel like I can hear less sounds. When it's a clear night sky, I feel like I can really hear the highway and I can really hear things further away. Whereas this, I can only really hear, my footsteps and breathing and the crickets. Okay, next we're going to go on to feel. So I want you to just be in your body and noticing what jumps out at you in terms of sensations. What do you experience when you are running along? So just let's pay attention to a sense of touch or feel, and let's do that now. Okay, what did you notice? I'm curious, is it the same things you notice each time? Like I said, for me, quite often is the salt on the side of my temples. Well, not salt, the sweat on the side of my head. And then it's usually my phone and something within my landing foot shoe sock. What about you? Do you notice it's usually a similar thing, or do you feel different things? I'm sure that shows for me. I've got some work to do on my being present if I'm not really allowing my body to experience other things. But I'm still, doing it. We still all have things to work on. What did you notice? Definitely got more cars on this run today. Apologise, but without my headlamp, it's I want to avoid at this point the darker streets that I'd normally be running down. So there's just more cars around. Okay, and finally, need to pay attention to your sense of sight. Now, I'm going to guide you again this time. I've had a few weeks of doing it a little more freehand, and today I'm going to prompt you a little more. Just want you to pay attention. Try and find things you would never normally notice. Okay, so let's turn your head to the left. If it's safe to do so. Make sure if you need to look to cross streets or something, you're doing that. Look to the left, up and down. What do you see? Look to the diagonal to the left. Go up and down. What do you see there? And looking forward, pick something far in the distance. See if you can find something that you don't know what it is. You can narrow in on it with your eyes until we get close enough to where you can figure out what it is. If you do already know what it is, if you're on a flat rail, trail or path, then you can just hone in on that thing. Try and pick out the details as they get closer. Just look a little bit around in the front. What do you see there? Anything different to usual? Anything jumping out? Still coming back to that thing in the distance? Have you figured out what it is yet? Let's look to the right diagonal. Look up and down. Pick out some things that you see there. Let's look back to the middle. What is it? Are you close enough to see? If not, let's go to the right. If it's safe to do so, look up and down, look around. Anything jumping out? Okay, and then back to the front. What was that thing you looked at in the distance and ran towards? Not only was that, using different elements of our vision that we wouldn't typically use, but also it's good to challenge ourselves and find new things in places we know well. Okay. There are 23 minutes, so 30-minute group, you have about 7. We'll come to a walk, or you'll come to a walk, and then give you a few minutes, and we'll do a few strides. 45 and potentially 60. At this point, I am very much feeling like I might cut it at 45. Listen to my body. We'll see how I go, but I may well cut it short today, because we all need to be able to listen to our bodies sometimes. And so even if your schedule, I used to be so adamant about, if my training plan said 7 to 8 miles, I was absolutely doing 8 miles. No matter how bad I felt, no matter what had happened the day before, I just felt like I had to. And definitely wouldn't say that was the best idea ever. Okay, so then on that note, I think one of my friends was mentioning to me the other day that she felt really bad on her run, and she lives near me, and she happened to run past me, and she was saying, you look like you were going so fast, and you know, part of it is she's a newer runner, and seeing me, who has, I don't know, 17 years of training in my body, is going to be, you know, that's not really a accurate representation of an average runner, is it? So I told her to obviously keep that part in mind. But she said she felt terrible and asked me, could it be this or that? And I, you know, first told her when she said about her pace was slow, but pace doesn't matter. And if you've known me for a while, you'll know that I agree with this, especially on easy days. Your pace does not matter, but just in general, it's not supposed to be about like 6 months ago, my easy day pace was this, and today it was this, because as you get more of regular running in, you will have a lot more days, and those experienced runners here know, you'll have a lot more days where you just feel blah. And it's not that we have to spend time searching for why. In fact, I would discourage you from doing that, because there are dozens, if not hundreds, of reasons you could be feeling off. Could be humidity, sleep the night before, sleep the combination of the week, what's going on in your home life, what's going on in your work life, the accumulated stress, what you ate the day before, what you've eaten this morning, how hydrated you are, you know, what workouts you've done this week, what's your training been like the past week. Like, I could go on. There are endless factors that come into why we feel off, and trying to pinpoint one, like I was on my period, or I didn't have a bad night's sleep, or I didn't have a good night's sleep. It's probably not just going to be the one thing. And yes, I would say the sleep element, it is perfectly reasonable to think that maybe you would have a bad run after a really bad night's sleep or no sleep. However, if you are in that situation where you're not sleeping, there's some other factors involved. There's a stress factor involved. Did I say stress fracture? I meant stress factor, if I said stress fracture. There's a stress factor involved, and there's what was going on to make you have such a bad night's sleep. Is there anxiety? Was it you had to for work? In which case you have a stressful job. Anyway, my point is that if you have bad runs, it's just as best you can, got to be able to just write it off and say, yep, didn't feel great, but I made it through, made changes as needed, and did the best I could, which doesn't have to mean as hard as you could. Sometimes that means the opposite. Maybe you have a hard workout set and you say, nope, body is definitely not feeling quite right. I'm going to push this off tomorrow if you have the availability. Or, cutting it, pushing it to the weekend and cutting something else. Or just skipping the workout altogether. We need to be able to listen to what our body is saying, even if it means that we skip things. But you will know the difference in your body between what is feeling a bit lethargic and something is off. I need to back down. And I'm still deciding whether I'm in the stage or the something is off. No, I don't think something's off. I think it's more just I'm pretty tired from yesterday, and at this point in my life I just don't feel the need to run 60 minutes just because I said I was going to run 60 minutes. If it would do me better to cut the run short today and not really suffer any consequences. And I also have to do my strength training later. Okay, 30-minute group, come to a walk, give you a minute before we do our strides. Strides are going to be 2 by about 15-second pick up the pace. About 80% of your max will be faster than what we've been running at. You will have a little walk break in between. And I want to mention, as I always do, this does not mean, when it's called strides, does not mean striding out, taking big steps. It means taking more steps. And over time, you will propel yourself faster with those smaller steps. Now, those of you who have been doing this since the beginning, which is crazy to think it's been half a year, you may be seeing a difference by now, especially if you've been doing the 60-minute runs. You should be seeing these are feeling easier, you're feeling more comfortable with them, and yeah, maybe that you're propelling yourself further with each step. And I want to clarify, we are not trying to take big steps. That is risking injury, and I do not recommend. On that note, if you're on a hill that is quite steep and you have the choice between up or down, choose up. Always better to up than down. Okay, are you ready? I'm going to do it with you again this week. In 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog if you're doing 45 minutes or 60, and a walk if you're doing 30. Now you may hear, probably sounded like my strides were longer than they normally are, and that is because over time I can now propel myself further, but that's the years of training. But all of our number one priorities is to stay healthy and injury free and overtraining free and sickness free. But yeah, as we know, for runners, injuries are the ones that can get us pretty quickly, as I know all too well from my past few weeks, months. Okay, give you a few more seconds and we'll begin our second stride. Then 30-minute group, you can be on your way. In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and coming to a jog or a walk. If you're in a 30-minute group, you can either be done or you can walk for a bit, listen to what we end up talking about here. Up to you. Okay. Thank you for joining me, I should say. 30-minute crew. You can go support me on Patreon if you want to. You can take a screenshot. Actually, let's do that now. Everyone stop. Stop your watch. Stop yourself. If you are struggling to do that because you don't want to stop time-wise, you don't have time to stop because you have exactly 60 minutes, keep going. If not, you can stop. It is not going to kill you. Trust me, I know. I used to struggle with this too. You'll be fine. Okay, I want you to take a picture of yourself in your surroundings. I don't care what your surroundings look like. I don't care how quote unquote bad you look. I just want to see you. I want to envision what it would feel like to be running with you in your spot. So when I see it, it just makes me happy to see. So take a photo right now. Wherever you are, whatever you look like, it doesn't matter. Take a picture. Done? Okay, let's begin again in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and then if you could upload that picture to social media, share it around. That's how a lot of you have found these, through other people sharing. So I appreciate all of you who have done that. And do show me your picture of you, or the picture of you touching nature. I love seeing that. So cool, especially the nature part. One of my friends was saying about how, she also touched a tree the same time I did when I said touch nature. And so, it was kind of cool that we were doing the same thing. And so I love the idea that we are doing this together in every sense. So, yeah, keep those pictures coming. Upload them to social, send them to your running groups. Tell people to join these. Really love to get the momentum going. As I really feel there is something special here, right? There's nothing like this anywhere else. Actually, there is one other guy that does it. I can't remember his name. Another guy who does it, who someone, when I first started doing these, said, hey, these are like what you do, to him. But otherwise, it's just such a unique thing, and it makes us feel so connected, right? So I feel like there's something special here that someone should be able to work with us, so that I don't have to think about 300 things while I'm doing these and feel pretty tired afterwards because I'm trying to focus. Or there should be someone who could be in my ear, telling me, okay, you haven't done a check-in for a while, or whatever. Or just a way of getting these to people. So I really feel there's something special here, but the only way to spread it among the running community is through word of mouth. We all know how much our friends and our loved ones' opinions mean to us. So you sharing it really helps me. What was I going to say about that? Well, I guess it's just, that I love doing these, and I really do enjoy the connection, and seeing your photos makes me feel connected to you, definitely. But I do, wonder what the potential of this could be. And I have thought about, we obviously talked to Mike about doing a live one, and I think at some point we will. Just need to, have quite a lot of things going on right now. But also doing some kind of, guest appearances. David did one. David did an excellent job. But also, I have another one ready to go from someone called Cynthia. And Cynthia has a really unique, special one to do, which you're going to love. I'm saving that for a week. I can't get one in. But I'd love to do more of those opportunities for guest ones. And, the dream could be like an app where you can become a Together Run teacher or something. But I don't really know what to do there. I'm back and forth on whether I want one of the big apps to swallow it, because would they ruin it? Not sure. Okay, let's do a body check-in. Let's scan. I'm not going to tell you prompts, but let's scan down from the top of our heads and do it at your own pace. Just work your way through from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Okay, what did you notice? How's your body feeling? Okay, and now I think I would love to hear an update. So for those of you, if this is your first time, I asked this question, tell me an update. Oh, there's a bench on the side of the street, and I thought for a second it was a deer. It scared me. If we were to be running along right now and we ran together every week, which I hope you will get to the point where we do, what would you tell me? What's your updates from the last week? If this is your first time running with me in these together runs, what would you tell me about yourself? If we've never met before, or maybe we've just met at an event and talked for a minute or two about how amazing Des is or something, what would you tell me about yourself? So either an update on the past week or just sharing a little bit about who you are. And I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Okay, thank you for sharing with me. Before I say anything else, I just want to say I'm going to do 60 minutes, feeling better as the run's gone on. And that's the other thing about listening to our bodies. Sometimes we may feel like absolute garbage in the first 10-20 minutes because we are tired from the day before, but our body wakes up and warms up. I find that quite a lot when I've flown home to England and I haven't slept all night because I've been on the plane, I've got a child with me, or trying to, look after her, or just not slept for, the fact you're trying to sit upright and sleep sitting up. But I always find that I expect my run to be bad, and I do feel bad the first 10 minutes, but then my body actually feels fine, even though I haven't slept. So, again, just got to listen to our bodies. Okay, what did you tell me? I wish I could know. If you want to tell me, in your post or message, you're welcome to. What would I tell you? I would firstly say that I'm not feeling as irritated anymore. The run has worked that through. Your companionship has worked that through. But I would update you and say, did my weekend in Ironton, Missouri, which is a very, shall we say, red part of Missouri. We did, however, meet two guys in the coffee shop. One was the barista and one was his friend. We had a great conversation with them about, just the history of the town, and it was good. Some new friends, and did a good amount of trail running, although maybe not as experienced in trail running as I thought I was. Had a few things that went wrong trail running. You can go see my social media for that. But I also got a lot of book writing done, which felt good because I was very much having that feeling underneath of I'm behind, I'm not going to catch up, I don't have enough time to write. And so I did manage to draft out 2 chapters, plus pretty much finish the 1 chapter I'd been working on. And yeah, it felt good to just be able to sit and write and sit and edit. So yeah, just giving it full attention, having a quiet weekend of not really much, but also time to work, but also time to, we laid under the stars and just talked and things like that. So it was really good. So I'd tell you about that. I would tell you that I'm, nervous a little bit not about New York, but more that I think with this injury I had coming up when it did, New York has kind of snuck up on me. I'm suddenly well aware that I don't have many workout and long run opportunities left. So my fitness is pretty much going to be where it is. Maybe get 1 or 2 more things in, but that's it. And so that was a little bit like, oh. And then because my 50k is 2 weeks after New York, or less than 2 weeks after New York, I have to be ready. So I'm not really going to do much in between that time other than just easy running and recovery. I'm not sure if I'm going to take a few days off or keep going. Oh, I'm sorry, 45-minute group, well over. Come to a walk. See, this is where, if you have not already, this is where it's, good to be able to do this naturally, but it's also a lot for me to try and remember and keep on top of. So I'm going to give you just a few more seconds to walk, because if you can do 45 minutes, you are fine to go straight into strides. Okay, we ready? In 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog or a walk. We'll give you 30 seconds or so. We'll do another one. Okay. And 3, 2, and 1. Coming to a jog or a walk, 45-minute or 47 as I ended up being group. Thank you for joining me today. Be sure to upload your picture to social media or to share it with your running groups, text it to them. Say, come join these are really fun. Share it around. Get people enjoying it too. It's no sponsors. As you hear, you can support me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. But this is just a way for us in the running community to feel closer to one another, to feel like we have a regular companion. And that's why I've been doing the section I just was, which I'll just finish what I was about to say. Because, you know, I don't run with anyone once a week, every week. That's not something we all have. And so I love the fact that for the last 6 months, we've run together once a week. So one way you can, if you've also appreciated that, you can show your appreciation is by sharing it on with others. And then that gives you something to talk about with them. You could switch answers. Oh, you should do that. That'd be really cool. If you do share this on with your running group or running friends, and they do them too, you can talk about your answers to some of the things I ask. I'd love that. So do that. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you on Friday for a Running for Real episode, and next Monday for another one of these. Okay. Alright, so I was saying about writing, being in the woods, update. Oh, my running, yeah. It just feels like it's kind of, I have to, so I won't do much between New York and the 50k. So I have to be, so whatever readiness I am going into that, I will just be at. And I haven't decided if I'm taking some time off post New York or a few days, or if I'll just keep going. I've never run within, I think, a week of a marathon, so it's going to be very different in that sense. Okay. Alright, so we have about 9 minutes left at this point. Just trying to decide which way back I should go. And yeah, I think maybe, why don't we just take a minute to just run quietly and be in our bodies. Just be there for running. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, what did you notice? I used to do that more at the beginning of these, where I would have us have a few minutes of quiet. I haven't really done that lately. Did you notice, did your mind keep drifting back to a thought? Were you able to just focus on running and what the movement of it felt like? I'd love to know. For me, I drift off into thought quite a lot and have to bring myself back. But, that is what we all have to work on at some point. And I maybe am just have longer to go. Right, so we've got probably about 5 minutes before we'll begin our last set of strides. So I guess maybe I'll talk about something I was thinking about on my long run yesterday that I wanted to talk about. But all that's coming to mind right now, which is not it, was that I tested out the new UCAN Edge flavour. They have a strawberry banana flavoured gel now. And as I mentioned many times, I'm not an orange flavoured person. And so I didn't want to use the UCAN Edge when it was orange. And they were fine with that. Continued using the powder myself. But now they've got this strawberry banana. And I used it. I used 2 of them on my run and it was great. So I think I'm going to be using that in the race as my fueling source. And I will have UCAN before, along with, I think, Picky Bars, Trail Mix. So I think in the marathon, I'll have the Picky Bars and the UCAN in the morning before I run. I'll have the probably 3, depending on how it's going, 3, maybe 4 of the UCAN Edge gels. And then just water that's available on the course. And then for the 50k, I think I'll probably add in either a UCAN bar or a Picky bar during the race. Maybe one of each. The Picky bar earlier on and the UCAN bar later on. I'll probably switch out the gels, or at least some of the gels, for some liquid powder I'll put some Beam in it, because I really like the Beam. I'll drink that the morning before New York as well. I like the Beam Elevate Performance. It's got a little bit of caffeine, and it's just, I don't know, I really enjoy it. So I think that's what I'm going to do nutritionally. I've practiced with everything. First time with those UCAN edges. It was great. No problems at all. What are you going to be using for your future stuff? If you haven't tried UCAN, I'd definitely recommend giving it a go. But I'll put links in the show notes to UCAN, Beam and Picky Bars. 3 main nutritional products I use. All great. I hope you know how much my word means. I had a conversation with another podcaster the other day who was saying how, he can get lots of different companies to work with, and then I said, I don't really tend to change mine around. And he was like, yeah, but you are kind of known as the person who sticks with their brands, who knows what they like and doesn't need to change. So I was like, yeah, I hope so, because it means a lot to me to speak up about a brand. And I think I mentioned this, I haven't mentioned it in the Together Run, but I've definitely shared the story about turning down like $800 for a blog post of a disgusting product I tried that tasted like dirt, and I told them I didn't want I told them that I wanted to give them the money back because I couldn't write about it. It didn't feel right. They didn't end up minding, but yeah, I will speak up. Okay, so we're going to start our stride in just a few seconds. We'll do 2 final strides before we wrap up for the day. And yeah, Together Run 26. That means we've officially done this for half a year. Okay, you ready? In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, coming into a jog. Do one more of those. Just a few minutes. Whew. Legs are still a bit tired. Okay, I'm just coming up to a corner, so I'm going to hold up to do the stride until I get round it, just so I'm not trying to stride around the corner. It's not ideal. Giving you a little extra rest. Okay, ready? 3, 2, and 1. Okay, come to a jog. Got 30 seconds to go, roughly, and we can come to a walk. I feel like I haven't been able to hold down a conversation as much as I normally am today. Hope that hasn't come across on your end, but maybe it's good to hear that, you know, sometimes we do feel a bit less conversational, and that's okay. Sometimes we need a little more quiet time, and sometimes we need a little more connection. Hope you've still had, okay, let's come to a walk. Hope you've still had plenty of connection time through this, even if my conversations haven't been as insightful as usual. Well, friends, if you can share this with your running group, if you really appreciate what we do at Running for Real, and now there's 8 of us, even more so, but you could go, well, actually first, will you go follow Running for Real on Instagram? If you don't already, we have an account there. The team does all the posts, and they do such a great job. So if you don't already go follow at Running for Real on Instagram, go do that now. And share these. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. I will see you I'll see you Friday for a podcast, and then Monday for another one of these. Before we end this episode, I just want to take a moment to shout out my podcast editor, Jeremy Nessel, who has done such a wonderful job of looking after my podcast, taking out all the mishaps in the episodes, while still keeping in the vulnerability and the realness and the rawness of the conversation. This is not one of those podcasts where I take out the ums and the ers and the sometimes the delay in words, because I think it's very important to keep that authenticity. We're surrounded by perfected and manicured everything, and I think it's really important that Running for Real stays that way. So thank you to Jeremy for your work. I also want to thank Maria Vargas and Amber Moore, who are also part of my team. They've been a big part of this community and me being able to build this brand. So just want to give them a shout out too. All right, let's get right back to the end of this episode.